Hi everyone! Welcome back to the channel. I'm so happy you're here with me today and I hope you're having an amazing day. So, in today's video, we are going to do some basic nail designs. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. And if you're not new here, thank you for your continued support. So in today's video, we are going to do some basic nail design that you see as a beginner online and you're like, okay, so I like this design, but I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do it. And this is gonna be the video for you. In one of my last videos, I did something similar where I shared some basic tools you're gonna need to start nail art on your own. And this is going to be kind of like a part 2 to that video. And I'm gonna link it on the side over here if you guys wanna watch it after this video. But I do recommend watching this video first to get an idea of what kind of tools you want to use, because you don't necessarily need all of the tools, you just need tools that you are going to use. So in this video, I'm going to be doing very basic nail designs that you all have seen online. And I'm going to be doing 10 fingers to show as many designs as possible and give you guys the opportunity to learn as many designs as possible in this video. So if you like this video, stick along and watch it together and let's get going. Okay, so the first design we're going to do today is going to be a French tip, and let's get started on it. So the tools you're going to need is any nail polish of your liking, and you're going to need 2 brushes, and one is going to be a bit shorter while the other one is going to be a bit longer and thinner. And these are going to help you achieve different functions when you're drawing a French tip, so it is handy to have them around. But if you only have to have one, I'd recommend getting the long and thin one because it helps with more stability and accuracy when you're doing your nails. So the first step to doing a French tip is to, of course, load up your brush with some polish, but try not to overwhelm it with too much polish. So this is what my brush looks like right now. And let's say you want your French tip to start from here, or you want the bottom of your French tip to start from here. So what you're gonna do is draw a line a little bit under where you want your French tip to have the curve, right under where you want the French tip to end. And then after you're done with that, try and mark out the center of where the French tip is going. It really doesn't have to be that neat. This is just your sketch lines. And let's say you accidentally went over the lines, just try and gently wipe it away. However, if you are using gel polish, do not ever wipe it away with your fingers. Just try and use something else. Try and use like a cotton swab, like a small cotton swab. So now at this point, we have one step left, and I'm just going to reload my brush, and looking at it, I'm just going to face it forward for you guys. You can mark the top of your French tip. So now we marked the bottom, and now we want to mark the top of the French tip. So I'm gonna get close to this. Let's say you want the top of the French tip to be around here. Try and make them even as best to your abilities. And right now you want to connect these 2 points and this bottom point. So let me add some more polish to my brush right now. And how you're going to do this is just using a simple straight line. So kind of drag this point down towards the middle point that we have here. Do not make the mistake and drag it to this center point. You're going to have a very V-shaped French tip. If that's what you want, then go ahead and do it. But if you want a typical curved French tip, just go ahead and drag it to the bottom point down here and do the same on the other side. So this is what my sketch lines look like so far, and you can kind of see how this will turn into a French tip. Now to turn it into a French tip, you kind of have to curve this line. Instead of it being just a straight line, you kind of have to curve it towards this line on each side. And this will take some time and practice, so it's okay if you don't get it on the first time. If you don't like it, you can just wipe it away, but let's start doing it one by one. Just gently curve it. You don't have to take it one time. Just try and have a steady hand, and using a thin brush like this is going to help with that. Now, what I like to do after I'm satisfied with how the overall shape looks, I like to take my brush and keep it on the side for now, and just take the brush that comes in your nail polish bottle, kind of remove all of the excess polish and paint in the French tip. And be extremely careful that you don't go further than the line you already drew, because, well, if you accidentally go further, you can always wipe something. There is no issue, but you do want to avoid it just because you don't muddy the line or don't make it look a bit crooked. So just go in with your color and paint the French tip like so. Try and get as close to the line as possible. And now you have to judge your nail a little bit. And for me, I feel like it is not really that even. You can see how this part is higher than this part. So what I'm gonna do now is go in with my brush again and fix these little mistakes. And don't mind all of the black polish marks on my finger. finger. This polish is very runny, so it does tend to travel to my fingers quite quickly. And I don't like how this corner looks. It looks a little bit crooked, so I'm just gonna straighten it out, making sure that both of them end at the same high point. Okay, I'm happy with how this looks so far. And this is just the first coat, so it can look splotchy in some areas, but once you get the initial shape perfect, you can go ahead with as many coats as you like to get the opacity that you want. But for now, I'm just gonna let it dry so we can move on to the next nail. Now for our second nail, we're going to do some polka dot design, and for this one you can use a dotting tool or a toothpick, and I'm going to paint this a very cute color. I'm going to use this color, and I'm going to be using this pink to do the polka dots. You don't necessarily need to paint a base color, you can just have the polka dots on, and you can have them with as many colors as you wish, but I wanted to paint a cute little base color for us today. And this is nice and sheer, but it does have a cute effect on it, so it will add a little bit more to our nail. Okay, now that the base is all dry, we can go ahead with our polka dots, and they are actually quite simple. And when you're loading up your dotting tool, be sure not to load it up too much, or you're going to just have a bigger circle that you want or a bigger dot that you might want. And just go ahead and start from the middle. I like to start from the very top and the middle of the nail, like so, and just go ahead and continue doing that. This nail is kind of crooked on the nail stand, so it doesn't look like I'm starting from the middle, but I am. And sometimes I do like to mark out where I will place the dots before I actually commit on placing. For polka dots, you kind of want the design to be kind of shifted from each other. So what I mean by this is, if this first column starts over here, instead of starting the second one over here, I'm gonna start it right in the middle of these two and just continue. And down here, I'm just gonna put it at the very base. And this is just me marking out where my polka dots are gonna go. This is not necessarily the final look for them. Now that you've done all of the placements of the dots, you can go ahead and clean your dotting tool, wipe it clean with some tissue paper or some cotton pad. Do not use your fingers, please. And go ahead and then finalize the dots. And I'm just gonna do this by going over them if needed. Some dots don't really need me to go over them, but I am gonna go over the ones that look a little bit small and they don't look that cute to me. Fix the problem of me having to constantly open up my nail. And to fix the problem of me having to constantly open up my nail polish bottle, I'm going to get like a small metal palette on the side and put some polish on there so it can be easily accessible. And I do like to use the metal one because my nail stand can magnetize to it. So this is the nail all done, and to differ the size of the polka dots, you can control which side you use of your dotting tool. This is the second nail all done, and now let's put it back and move on to the third one. So for our third nail, we're going to have a heart design, and I really see hearts going around every once in a while, and I wanted to add this part to the... So what you're gonna need to do hearts is a dotting tool or any of the other alternatives that I mentioned before. And we're going to be using any color of your choice. I'm using this blue color. So to do a heart, you kind of have to break it down into basic shapes. So a heart is like two dots on top and then they come together at the bottom. And that is exactly how we're gonna do this. So load up your dotting tool. I want you to have two dots next to each other. And then what you're gonna do with your dotting tool is drag them downwards to form a little heart. And the heart is gonna look rough in the beginning, especially because I didn't really drag them towards the center. I kind of dragged it down towards this side, but that is no issue. You can fix it up by kind of drawing the shape or enhancing the outline a little bit. And that is your first heart. So to make the heart bigger, you can either use a bigger tool or you can just make the two circles bigger. And I'm going to show you the second option. So first of all, put down a big circle and then try and make a big circle next to it as well. And try and go for the same size to keep the lobes of the heart equal. And then what you want to do is get more on your brush and drag these two hearts to their center and kind of fill in the center. And ta-da! Here's your heart. So this is how you can just make different hearts of different sizes. Now let's put this back so we can move on to our fourth nail. So for our fourth nail, we're going in with a striped design, and you can kind of do like a vertical design or a horizontal design. I'm gonna do both for you guys in this video so you can get as many tricks as possible. And I'm going to do another base coat for this, and I'm going to be using this kind of muted purple. So let me get it on the nail. Okay, we are going to go in with this lighter pink color, and we're going to go back to our thin brush. Whenever you're doing long nail designs, you need, where the design spans the whole nail, you will need a longer, thinner brush like this for more stability. So let's go in and load it up with some color. And I'm going to be splitting the nail down vertically. And I'm gonna have one side for the vertical stripes and one side for the horizontal stripe. And let's start with the vertical stripes. They're basically just what I did right now, but what you want to do is kind of plan out where the stripes are going to go. So I want one stripe over here, another one over here. And for the lines, you kind of have two ways that you can draw them on. One way is to fix this hand that is holding the nail and to move this hand that is holding the brush. So I'm going to fix this nail and move this hand, my right hand. Or another way that you can do this is just do the opposite. And I'm going to show you that as well. So what I'm going to do is fix this and then kind of drag the nail away from the brush. And I know it really doesn't look that different on camera. It looks like I'm moving the brush again, but I am moving the nail, and they both achieve different results depending on how stable each hand is. Let's say this hand, your drawing hand, isn't that stable. You can use the second technique where you're moving the nail. And now that I have my stripes allocated, I'm going to thicken them up, and that is just done by drawing a line slightly next to them. So that's going to be the border of my stripe, and you can make this as thin or thick as you want. Now you can see that the outline is a little bit crooked, and that is okay. You can just go over it and fix it up a little bit so it looks straighter, like so. So I'm going to turn my nail over like so, and basically you can kind of guess how it's going. It's just vertical lines, but once you've turned the nail over, it will be horizontal. But when you have your nail like this, you just use the same technique you used on this side to the horizontal line. So I'm just going to draw one line over here and then another one over here. Okay guys, now we can move on to the next nail. So I painted a thin coat of this jelly polish, and this is not necessary, but it does add a cute background. And for this nail, the design that we're going to go with is swirls along the bottom of the nail. And you can use two colors like I'm going to, or you can only use one color. You can just use whatever colors you have. And for this one, I'm going to go in with the pink first, and I'm going to be using my tall brush again. So just load up some polish on the brush, and what you want to do is kind of draw a swirl. It can be as big or as small as you want. And let's do something on the other side as well with the same color. Let's do a big one over here. And I'm really happy with how this looks. So what I'm going to do is take my polish and use the brush that comes in the bottle to paint inside the swirls that I just drew. And just like we did with the French tip on the first nail, try to be as careful as you can not to go over the line that you just drew. But if that happens, you can always go and clean it up, clean any mistakes. And this is how it looks like. So now I'm going to go in with my red and outline all of the shapes that I just drew using the same brush, but I'm going to clean it out of the pink. And now that it's clean, we're going to go in with some red. And I really love the combination of this pink and this red. They look really cute. They kind of remind me of Valentine, like they give me Valentine's vibe. So I love to use them when I'm doing nail art. And to do this, you have to stabilize your hand. You can use your pinky and stabilize your hand on your thumb, or stabilize it on one other finger or even on your table, but try and stabilize your hand on something if you struggle with stability, and just gently draw an outline for your shape. You can do it as thin or as thick as you want. I like to start off thin because you can always go thicker and it's really hard to remove any thickness that you add. So I like to start thin and then work my way up the thickness. And you can also make the thickness vary along the length. So for example, I made it thin across the top over here and then I made it go thicker down the bottom. Now let's go on and do the other side. And here we have our fifth nail with a simple spiral design or a simple organic shapes design using 2 colors. So now we finished with one hand using 5 designs. So let's move on to the second hand right now. Now for our second set of nails, we have a gingham design or a plaid design first. And we're going to be using 2 brushes. We're going to be using a short brush and a thin brush that we've been using this video. And I'm not going to paint a base. I'm going to do it on this clear nail tip. And I'm going to be using this blue color by L for our gingham design. Usually this design takes more than 1 color, but I do want to start off with 1 color and show you guys how it's going to look. And if we don't like how it looks, we can always add more color later. So load up the brush. So I'm just going to load up my brush with some polish and sort of implement the ideas that we've learned on the horizontal and vertical nail and do it on this one. So what we need to do is draw a vertical line down the center, and then I'm going to draw 2 horizontal lines, and then I'm going to draw 2 vertical lines on each side. One over here and then another one on the other side. And it's okay if you mess up, you can gently remove all of the excess polish away. And then try and thicken the lines up. For this design, we do require the lines to be a bit thick. Okay, this is how the thumbnail looks like, and I did some horizontal lines and some vertical lines that are a bit thinner than the rest, and this gave it a little cute basket weave design. Now we can move on to our next nail. So for this nail, we are going to go in with a similar design to our organic nail that we did on the previous set, and we're going to include the French tip in it this time. So for this design, we're going in with our long brush again, and I'm going in with this sparkly teal color. This design can be done with only 1 color if you want, but you can also spice it up and add more colors you wish. So I'm going to load up my brush as usual, and I'm going to make a mark where the center of the nail is at the bottom of the nail, and then I'm going to make another mark on one side. You can either choose this side or another side, and then I'm going to make a mark at the top of the nail where I would like to connect both of these. So you can either connect it in a curve that's going out or a curve that's going in, and I'm going to do something in between. So I'm going to mix both curve designs, and I'm going to do a curve that goes out like so and connect it to the center, and then I'm going to do a curve that goes in. And here we have our curve, our S curve. Instead of just doing it in one go, you can do it in 2 tries like this. First do the outward curves and then the inward curve. And I'm going to fill in the shape with the polish itself using the brush that comes in the bottle, being careful not to accidentally mess up the shape. And I'm going to go in and slightly clean up any lines that I don't feel like are super solid. Okay, I like how that looks. And then we're going in with some thinner lines outlining this shape that we drew. So I'm gonna start a little bit above it and then kind of offset the outline of the shape. And I want it to be a bit thinner in the middle, so I'm starting my shape from either ends. So when it comes to connect in the middle, it is a bit thinner, like so. And I think I want to do another line coming from this side. So I'm gonna start it from this point and then end it here, like so. And this is our very simple French tip design. You can stop here or you can kind of fix this joint area a little bit. I'm going to do that by kind of curving the 2 lines together like so. So this is what the design looks like. Now for the next nail, I'm So I'm going to go in with my glitter blue polish, and I'm going to be using my thin brush as usual, loading it up, and I'm going to be doing a sort of flat French tip. So how I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to mark a point where I want my French tip to be at, or like the top of the French tip, and I'm going to mark the same point on the opposite side, so kind of eyeballing it here. And then I'm going to load up my brush again, and we're going to take one horizontal line from this point to this point. And this is our line. And then now we can go in with the brush and the nail polish and fill the French tip in. And this is how it looks. And of course you can go up higher on the nail if you want. I do like to have just a little sliver of color on the bottom. And for glitters, I do like to add 2 coats to just intensify the color and intensify the glitter effect. But for now, we're gonna let it dry so we can add another coat. And we can go in with our orange for our half moon on top. Okay, it's a good thing this happened on camera. So if something like this happens to you guys, just try with your finger to kind of remove it, and it will get removed, but try not to touch the polish as much as possible. And then once you loosened it, put back your cap, screw it on tight, and then when you open it up, it will go back to being normal. Now I'm going to load up my brush to do this French tip design, and I'm going to flip my nail to make it easier for you and me to understand what I'm going to do. So I'm going to pinpoint the center of the nail, and then I'm going to pinpoint the top of the moon design that I want to have, and then I'm going to connect this top to these corners of the nail. So you can either connect it to the actual corners of your nail tip or connect it a bit lower to make a sharper curve. And I like doing a sharper curve, so let me point out the points that I want to connect to. And once you've done that, you just connect each curve individually. It doesn't really matter if it looks bad as soon as you do it, but try and get the initial shape down. So for me, this is the initial shape. It doesn't look as perfect as it can be, but what I'm going to do now is fill in the shape and go in with my brush to perfect it. Okay, this is how it looks so far. And of course, you can just use one color for the top and the bottom, but I like combining complementary colors to make a cute nail look. And here's how the design looks with 2 coats of polish for the orange and the blue glitter, and it looks really cute. So now we can move on to our next nail design. So for this next nail, I'm going to do a flower design on a background. So let's paint the background together with this beautiful red color. And I'm going to be using 3 colors for this, excluding the background. I'm going to be using white for the petals, yellow for the center of the flower, and green for the leaves of the flower. You can go without doing a base color. You can just do it on your nail or on a clear tip. You can also go without having the leaves on the nail, but I do feel like it adds a little extra cuteness to the design. But if you only have 1 nail polish, you can do this nail, and I will show you how you can do it. So imagine that this has no color on it. You can just go in with your color of choice and a dotting tool and just fill up your dotting tool and do 5 petals. So for the petals, you start off with 1, and then you do 2 on each side, 1, 2, and then you do 2 on the bottom, 1, 2, and you already have a flower with the center filled without using any extra colors. So you just have to be careful not to fill up the center accidentally with too much polish when you're doing the petals, and this is how you can achieve a cute flower look using only 1 color. If you have a transparent tip on, or if you have just your natural nail color, it is okay, it will look really cute. So don't worry, you can achieve this design using just 1 color, but I'm going to add some extra steps if you do have more than 1 nail polish color. So just do the same thing again. And after you're done with the petals, you can go in with your center color. I chose yellow because I love daisies, and I really love the color combination of white and yellow. So just grab a little bit on your dotting tool and add it to the center. And here you have your cute little flower with a colored center. And now just go in with more flowers, and you can differ their sizes by adding more polish to the dotting tool. So this is a pretty big petal. Now that you're done with all of the flowers, you can go ahead with your dotting tool as well and do the leaves. Here we have our cute little field of flowers, and the leaves turned out super cute. So this is how you can just make a cute design using one tool and just a few colors if you can afford them, but you can also afford to go with just one color. So now we can move on to our final nail design. So for this nail design, we're going to do an alternative to the French tip again, because most of the nail designs that I see involve a French tip in one form or another. So I wanted to include a few different French tip designs for you guys so you can be inspired and have the skills that are required to draw on the French tip. So our French tip for this time is going to be sort of one-sided, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So let's choose our color for the French tip. So our color for the French tip today is going to be the sparkly blue, and our tool is going to be this thin brush again. You don't really need that many tools to start doing your nails on your own. You just need skills and practice, and doing many nails, even if they turn out bad, will help you eventually because it will add to your skills and it will give you opportunity to practice the skills that you've watched on videos such as mine or other videos that you find. So we're going to mark out the center of the nail on the bottom, and then I'm going to mark out the top of where I want my French tip to be, and then I'm going to mark out where I want my French tip to end. And then at this point, I'm just going to connect this point and this point using a curve that curves inward or towards the outside. So let's do that. And you can really go as thin or as thick as you want. I'm going to start off thin as usual. It's always easier to add thickness rather than remove it. And I'm gonna go in and fill the area on the back over here with my color just so I can see the shape clearly. And then I'm going to refine the outline. Okay, so this is how it looks like, the thin French tip, and I like it this way, so I'm going to keep it this thin. And now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, but instead of filling it in, I'm gonna keep just the outline of the French tip. So this is what it looks like. It's like a half-filled, half-hollow French tip. And you can do this as usual with just one color, or you can use two colors, or even three. You can do one color for the filling, one color for this outline, and another color for this outline. Just use whatever colors you have available, and you can make this really simple design in a few easy steps. And that concludes our set for the day. So let's review everything we've done in this video. Okay, so here are the 10 nails that we did this video. So we started off with a simple French tip, and then I showed you guys how to do this cute polka dot design. Then we moved on to some hearts using some dotting tools or some brushes, and after that I did some horizontal and vertical stripes with you. And next we did some organic shapes on the French tip. After that we did a cute gingham design. After that we did a cute organic design variation on this nail. Next we did a French tip design on the top and the bottom, and after that we went into a cute field of flowers using multiple colors. And lastly we finished off with another French tip alternative. I hope you guys really liked this video and enjoyed the tips that I shared with you guys. Let me know down in the comments what other ideas you want to see, what other tips or some other nail ideas that you see online but you're confused as how to execute them in real life. And I'll be happy to make more videos like this one because I do love sharing all the tips and tricks that I've learned, and I want to make nail art easier for you. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and comment, and make sure you are subscribed to my channel because I upload a lot of videos like this. Sometimes I upload basics of nail art, and other times I upload the intricate nail art, different nail art that I design and make on my nails. So if this interests you, make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notification bell so you're updated whenever I post a new video. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Bye!